in the industry, you can comment on this idea of if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never have to work a day in your life. It sounds like that was a common theme in your career, that you didn't view it as a job, you viewed it as a vocation, right? I mean, maybe you can talk about that.
To me, it was something I enjoyed doing. I was doing the work I wanted to do, and I was trained to do. I was dealing with really smart people who respected at that time the consultant, and I had a wonderful relationship with a lot of utilities, and during a professional engineering career, I think there's probably a handful of projects that you can really point to and say, I'm proud I did this project, I'm proud I did that one. And same with me, there's a handful of projects that I can point to.
Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about that. I remember working on the addenda for the Cincinnati Waterworks as a young engineer. I barely even knew what an addenda was. And I remember working with one of your engineers there, Bob Cornett, right, working on the addenda for the first Cincinnati, for the largest GAC facility, where you put in regeneration on the GAC facility in Cincinnati. Maybe, was that one of your signature projects?
That was a wonderful project, and I had a wonderful time working on that project, a good relationship with not only the director, Dick Miller, of the Waterworks at that time, but with the key people of his staff. And that's probably something worth getting into, because that project to me kind of illustrated that you can't do the project yourself, you can't do it with the executive director, but you need to get who's going to run the plant when it's done, who's going to do the electrical work at the plant, who's going to do the maintenance, who are the engineers that are going to make it work. I've seen a lot of plants go into operation where there wasn't that kind of communication during the project. And there's a group of people that can make a project work or not work, and that's the people who are going to operate it. Dick Miller formed a committee that had 12 people on it, and we met once a month. I called them the 12 disciples. And we had to go, Bob Quinn and I went to most of the meetings, and we had to present to them what we had done and how we had designed each step of that project along the way. It was new.
Right.
A plant of that size, using activated carbon and the way we were using it, and on-site regeneration. There were parts of it that didn't work when we put it in, or they didn't work the way they should. Right. These people that were involved in it, they said, don't worry about it, we're going to make it work. And they worked together with us to make it work.
And you've mentioned that a few times. You were bold at Erie, bringing up new ideas, new ways of doing things. At Cincinnati Waterworks, again, the first time it's been done. What do you think were some of the critical, I hate to use the word, success factors that allowed you to break new ground, be successful with it? Was it just confidence? I mean, hubris? What was some advice that you could give to our members?
I was very confident in myself. And I was very open in talking with our client and telling him where I thought we were taking some risk and where we weren't taking risk, and were they on board with what we were doing. And we formed really a team, myself and the director and the chief engineer at each of these facilities. And they were willing to try. They got their boards supportive of the fact that it may not all work out, but if it does, we're going to save significant amount of money, and we're going to have a much better facility.
Right. And I would speak from person. I think you're being a little humble, Gary. I know from
so.
my experience working, you created an environment within the office to exceed expectations. It was a wonderful experience working on. You could see from Bob Cornett on down the enthusiasm that it's not just about one individual, it's about the team of people, and having the support from all the engineers on staff working Saturdays, because you're building something that's going to last and you can be proud of. So I mean, just a debt of gratitude to you on that one.
Thank you, Joe.
I would like to, as we move kind of into the book phase, you mentioned again, I'll go back to the Rachel Carson theme, that she was kind of stood up saying she's being bold about this book. Writing it, and people at times were criticizing her. One of the topics we hear now is climate change, and you have this 40 years of experience. What is your viewpoint on climate change, its effect on the water industry, and where it's going? Maybe you can just comment on that. I'm throwing you a little bit of a curveball, but
I'm not going to get into the politics of it.
But just the science.
But I can remember when I was a kid growing up in Hawthorne, New Jersey here, My birthday is October 12th, and I knew right around October 12th we were going to have some snow. So I would go around to all the houses in my area and get a kind of like a contract with them to shovel snow. So it sticks in my mind that within that kind of time we had a number of snowstorms, 6, 8, 10, 12 inches of snow. Do we get that anymore? No. I mean,
Right.
last year we got one storm in October, I think, and then another one almost into spring. And we haven't had much this year outside of something like Sandy, but as far as the snow is concerned, we haven't had much. So something's happening there. I'm convinced of it.
Okay. And I guess, yes, we'll leave, so and it could have an effect on the water utility and planning, right?
Absolutely.
For regulations. As we kind of wrap things up, Gary, maybe you could talk about your post, I guess you never stopped working, but what you've done outside after your career. I know you've published books on wildlife. You've still stayed in that environmental theme that you could share with some anecdotes about that.
Yeah, I knew that once I got into the age 50 and 55, retirement was going to come. And I didn't realize I'd be working as long as I did, but I said, I need to have something. I can't stop working and sit around at home and read books or something like that. I had a passion for fly fishing, and I also did photography when I was a kid, doing it in my darkroom, black and white. And I said, these are the two things to build on, the two kinds of things I really like to do. And so I went out, I got special training, I went around, in the case of photography, with professional photographers and learned what kind of equipment I needed and how to organize, how to compose, and how to take pictures. I had to learn a lot on the computer for post-processing. And then I kind of tied back to my passion also for writing books. And so now I write books on a lot of the wildlife that I photograph, whether it's a grizzly bear, or my latest one is on a wolf that I wrote in the voice of the wolf. And I include the story along with my photographs. I exhibit my photographs. I make presentations, narrated slide presentations. Just have a great time doing it. And all along, I'm doing fly fishing.
So you're still connected to water in your
Absolutely.
career.
It started out in water that fish lived in, and it's ending up in water that fish are still in.
Well, Gary, thank you so much. We've enjoyed having you.
Okay,
and God bless you.
Thank you very much.